All right, so today on the hot seat, we've got another one of my favorite agents. We actually don't work together at all.
Right.
Your wife is a lender.
Yep.
You've got how many best friends that are lenders?
Three.
But you came here and shot video, and what I
did.
loved about you is your consistency. You were, I think, the only agent that I met that was here every single week.
Yep.
We knew where you were coming. It was always 5 minutes early, very prompt and on time. And I gained a respect for you then, realized what a good steward to your business you were then, and how seriously you took things. And the consistency, you could tell, was key for you. So I absolutely love that. I love that you're on here. Again, I just respect you enormously, which is actually kind of a big deal for me to say because I don't respect not a huge amount of people, let's say.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate that.
So today on the hot seat, I am going to ask you just a couple of, and not necessarily personal questions, but personal in terms of how it relates to business.
Okay.
And then we'll ask some really fun questions.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I'm game for whatever.
Now I'm curious because anytime someone sits in the seat, we like to do a little bit of research on them. Of course, I know your children already. I follow you on social, but you don't actually put a lot out there. I'm the same way. I don't put a lot of my personal.
About myself?
Yes, about yourself. Yeah, I do it mostly business. But one of the things that you put out there recently was that your Land Rover caught on fire.
Correct.
What happened? What were you doing?
I was driving. I was coming home from showing some property, and the car was, I don't know, 3 months old. 4 months old, and I was driving in. We're going, speed limit, and it was fairly packed with traffic, and someone flashed their lights behind me, and I was like, what'd I do? Thinking that I did something. And I looked back and I saw smoke, and I was like, what the heck? And I looked forward, and there was nobody smoking in front of me. And I was like, is that me? So I pulled over right away. Luckily, thank God there was an exit right there, and I got off. As soon as I stopped, white smoke started billowing out of the hood, and I just got out. All I had on me was my phone and the paperwork I had for the showings, so I didn't bring my laptop or anything. My kids weren't with me, thank God. And
that was going to be my question.
I just stood there on the off-ramp just watching it burn.
Brand new car.
Brand new.
Did they figure out what happened?
It was a oil cap, a faulty oil cap on the engine compartment.
Okay.
And according to the dealership, he told me that it only affected 60 cars. But they tried to recall it after. So they emailed me they called me a month after it burned, and they said, hey, you got to get it into the dealership. I'm like, that thing is gone, man.
Right.
I'm the reason you're calling me. yeah. So it's okay. We got our replacement. We're done. It is officially closed out, so we're fine.
So, and I saw that on social media. I know you were very thankful it was just you in the car, but you seemed to take it in stride. You seemed to take it in ease.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that your car caught on fire. Let's be clear. Your car burned down on the freeway.
Yeah.
And you took it in ease. What about your personality where you're like, it's an uncontrollable. What are you going to do? We're just going to go through the motions of it. Where did that come from?
That came from my family.
Okay.
100%. My dad, he passed away a few years ago, shortly after I was born, he was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, and it affected him physically. He wasn't able to work. And we always, I'm a Christian, and we kind of lean on our faith about everything to our core. And for me, really, my life was always about putting life in perspective, always. We were always grateful for what we had, what we could do, My dad really and my mom really helped us, me and my sister, to have those values and thoughts of life. So when I'm looking at something and it's catching on fire and I'm okay,
perspective.
What am I going to do about it, right? And it was more of a surreal moment. But that's kind of how I handle everything.
Yep.
Is just sort of, if I can control it, I'm going to be a pit bull about it. I'm going to be obsessive about it. But if I can't control it, there is only so much I can do. And I try my best to pump my brakes with those things.
So you actually mentioned two things that I vehemently believe in. I think perspective is the most powerful thing that you can own and learn on things. And I believe that you have to learn how to quickly identify your uncontrollables and your controllables. Yeah. Because if you're going to spend emotional currency on anything, it cannot be an uncontrollable. It has to be a pit bull about the controllables.
I totally agree. And I think the older I get to, it gets more steadfast in how I am. But I see so many people wasting time on things that don't mean anything.
Right.
And I only want to invest my time into the things that I feel I can impact. Mm-hmm. And I will not allow myself to be impacted by things that I can't control. So outside things that happen, they may be stressful, but I try not to let them stress me out.
Yep.
Because they're not my problems.
They're not your problems. Now, because you have this mindset, in my opinion, very few people actually have this mindset. Mm. How do you think that's helped you with your work-life balance? Are you able to, hey, it's burning down around me, but I'm going into my wife and children. Mm-hmm. Does that help you with the work-life balance? Are you just obsessive all the time?
Well, I'm obsessive all the time.
Right.
If you ask my wife, I'm definitely obsessive all the time. But work-life balance is a constant struggle. In my previous line of work, I was in retail. I had a lot of things going on at all times. If someone was in a mall, I was on call, mm-hmm. essentially, if something was to happen.
How long ago was this, out of curiosity?
6 years ago.
Okay.
And so I was used to dealing with a lot of things all the time, and working from home, working on the road, being on my cell phone all day long. Mm-hmm. So it's the same. The only difference is when I get home, I am not good about putting my phone away.
Yep.
But this career has allowed me to have more time mm-hmm. at home. And I joke sometimes, I say I have too much time at home, but because I'm an out of the house person. I don't
right.
like being just at home. So I'm able to, spend quality time with my kids. You pickups, drop-offs. Take my daughter to volleyball tonight. Like those things I wouldn't have been able to do in my other career, as great as it was. So I know that, there is a balance to it. Mm-hmm. But it is also who we are. Like for my wife and myself, it is who we are. And we work when we have to work. I mean, I can't tell you how many deals I've dealt with, and not to say closed, but like deals that I've dealt with and solved solutions while I'm putting my kids to bed.
Right.
Like in the bed, they're watching TV, and I'm finishing, handling something. Because when people are off work is when I have to work.
Yes.
And it's hard. We work it out. I mean, it's part of the job, and I don't fight that.
So I think the work-life balance is something that we'll work on forever. I don't mm-hmm. think there is any keys to work-life balance. Right. For me, I think that my daily routine, my morning routine with my husband, it's mm-hmm. pivotal. When we wake up in the morning, we work out, we do the sauna, we swim, we get the kids up together. I think that makes me feel zoned in. Do you have that with your spouse?
We have a morning routine. It's mainly about just getting the kids up and ready. Yeah, kids are little. So it's really just about waking up. She knows what she has to do. I know what I have to do. And we ebb and flow that all the time. Things happen. There's times I'm not around when those moments happen where I have to go. Usually it's at night. Mm-hmm. But we have a good routine. There's always room for improvement. Mm-hmm. I don't sleep well, so it's harder for me in the mornings. But we try to give each other some grace with that.
It's a work in progress.
No, I need to be better in the mornings, and so.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, I think that's one of the things for me that helped balance me. Mm-hmm. That, and my kids are older now, so my youngest is 13, my oldest is 21. My 16-year-old and my 13-year-old, they have to make a meal once a week, so they're responsible for family dinner.
That's cool.
2 times a week. So it gets easier, I swear.
No. It's easier. It's all chapters of life, and I'm not
seasons, chapters.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not bitter about any of it. It's fantastic. I'm blessed. I'm so blessed. It's first world problems.
Yes, for sure. So you mentioned 6 years ago that you were in retail.
Yeah.
How did you get into real estate?
Well, obviously I was surrounded by lenders.
Right.
And I knew that is not a job for Bobby. That is not a job for me. It's a totally different line of work, even though it's in the same industry.
Right.
And I respect that. And I thankfully, I'm blessed to be surrounded by such great people that are in the business. For me, the story goes, my daughter was born, my first daughter.
Mm-hmm. How old is she now?
Olivia. She'll be 7 in January.
Okay.
So she was born. I was on my paternity leave. I was at home. I was able to spend, I think it was 6 weeks at home. I'd never taken more than like 10 days off of work in the past 10 or 12 years or whatever it was, or 10 years. And I remember Kristen sitting in the backyard with Olivia and was on a blanket. Olivia was on a blanket, newborn, right? And just hanging out in the backyard. And I took the trash out and I was walking back. And I have a very nice backyard that we love. And I remember looking at her and Olivia on the blanket, and I was like, this wonderful life that I have, that, I felt so humbled by it. And then at the same thought, I was like, I'm going to miss this so much when I have to go out to work, because I was at a different mall every day, and a fantastic career. It was a fantastic career. But my life changed, and with Olivia being born, and I just really started thinking about the value of my time, and not compensation time, not money time, just the value of my time.
That's a whole different mindset.
Yeah. And so for me, it was in my mind, and I just was thinking about it. Like, okay, how are you going to be a dad? How are you going to be the best dad you can be, the best partner for your wife and husband you can be, so that, we as a team can make this family the best that it can be. And then it was in March of 2018. And I had gone back to work a couple weeks prior, and we had a conference call that was asked for us to be on a conference call. And retail, and people don't realize that, every year that passes since Amazon was created and since the online ordering systems have become better and better, brick and mortar retail is hurting more and more.
Yeah, I know.
And so there was a moment when the company had a round of layoffs. We got on this conference call, and they had let us know that someone was let go in our region. It was a district manager, same position I was in. And I don't ever do this, but like selfishly, my first thought was, why didn't they lay me off? And I wanted them to, because it would have solved my problem. And then my next thought was like, if you think that you're this great leader, badass business partner, you're dedicated to what you do, why are you letting someone else control your fate? And so it was just an internal monologue I had with myself. And so again, selfishly, I called my boss and I said, hey, I'm taking the rest of the day off. I can't, like, mentally, I need
So
to
you
go home.
self-reflected.
I did. And I literally went home. It was probably 11 o'clock in the morning by then. I went home and I signed up for my real estate classes.
Wow.
And I said, this is what I'm going to do. Because it was mainly about, I've always been driven in my retail career. I was always driven to improve, succeed, get promoted, move up the ranks. And I was able to do that, and I was successful at that. And then I realized, like, well, maybe I don't want to keep going up the ladder. And then it was like, well, what do? I don't know. I have this great job. It pays well. I got benefits. I got to drive a company car. It was cool. But it didn't fulfill me anymore, because my life changed.
Yeah.
And so, so for me, it came down to, what could I do that was customer focused? Because I really love people. And what could I do? And being around the business, I knew that I didn't want to be a lender, but I knew that based on when you hang out with lenders long enough, with enough of them that are good at what they do, you learn about all the things that agents do that don't make them so happy.
You do have a very unique perspective. Yes.
So I was able to know off the top, what kind of helped the process, what hurt the process. I had bought and sold as a consumer. I had great agents that I worked with, and I've had horrible agents that I worked with that I fired and frustrated me. And I also had agents that didn't do anything for me. They got the job done, but they didn't do anything for me, and I didn't feel good at the end of the process. So I'd felt that pain point from a consumer standpoint, and then I had lived it from the lender standpoint, essentially. Because when we go to house parties, we just get around and we don't talk about Hot Topic and retail and selling T-shirts, vinyl. We talked about loans and
mortgages,
agents and interest rates and refis. I know it's fine. I didn't want to talk about my work anymore. I dealt with it all week. So it really helped me give a good perspective on what, coming into the business, what was really most important.
So what did you learn? What was the one or two things that you're like, okay, I'm going to be this type of agent because of this perspective that I have?
Agents don't know the process. And I'm not saying all.
Definitely not all, but the majority
Don't know the lending process. They don't understand turn times. Yes, you have a contract. We all are trying to abide by the contract. But what could happen? What pitfalls before you get into escrow should you have looked at? Taxes, HOA. What does the consumer want to do with that house in an HOA? Well, can that work? Will it not work? There's all kinds of things that go into it. And really knowing what questions to ask to the lender prior. And luckily, I work with lenders that obviously I trust.
Right.
But in the instances where I have a
Married
lender
to one.
when a buyer comes to me and they have an agent that they already have, that's fine. I don't tell anybody they have to go with anybody. It's
right.
You choose who you're comfortable with. I'm not controlling that.
No, you're very great about that, actually.
Don't care.
Yeah, you're very great about that.
But I'm going to ask your lender questions.
Yeah.
About your file to make sure that what I'm putting on paper for you, we can back up.
Yes.
If we don't, it's going to affect all of us, and it's going to just make everybody upset.
Yeah, that's a really good perspective.
Our goal is to close. So yeah.
So with that, especially because now that you're in the real estate world and going back to, your wife is a lender, best friends are a lender, all of that. What is it like now that you're both in the industry? Do you talk shop, you and your wife, all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it like working with her day in and day out? Whether she's a part of your transactions or not, you're in the same field. What is that like now?
Oh, it's great. The only time we ever have issues is if I'm trying to do my job and she gives me suggestions on how to do my job, and I'm not really good about that. About taking suggestions or vice versa. Like we all have the right intentions.
Sounds like my marriage. I mean, I'll absorb it. I'll think about it.
Yeah.
Maybe a few days later, I'll be like, that was really good.
It's a good idea. I'm glad I thought of it,
Yeah.
No, it's just, but we work really well together because we also know we know what boxes we need to check before we get into the nitty gritty.
Right. And
then it's just about performing in the end. So in the escrow. So we take pride in having a good working relationship.
Okay.
We have clients even this morning that are texting us about refinances, and I'm like, hey, she's the one you want to talk to. Like, I'm thanks for reaching out.
Right.
I think she's the right person to talk to, and if you guys need me, let me know.
Yeah, the really unique thing about an agent-lender relationship is you as agents, you see these people face to face, whether it's on the listing side or the buy side. You're either showing them property, you're doing the listing presentation, you're belly to belly with them. So you're building so much more rapport than I can ever dream of building.
Right.
So typically when they want something, unless I was afforded the opportunity to build that same rapport, they're going to you as a real estate agent.
Right. Well, and listen, lending's less sexy than real estate.
Lending is really not sexy at all. I mean, I tell them all the time, we do, social media videos, and it's kind of boring. I'm sorry.
It's just a different side of the business. We're the ones that literally, you'll figuratively hold hands, right?
Yep.
And say, hey, we're going to take you, we're going to do this, I need this from you, all those things. But we're like the literal hand holder and, comforter, and hey, I know that you're stressed, and we got to talk to people. We all do, but it usually falls on the agent to be that
to control the emotion
side of things.
Yes.
Yeah, to control the emotion and keep us focused on what's most important. And stand up for them, obviously. But yeah, it's a different side of things, definitely on the lending side.
Now,
and I appreciate it when they do a good job. It is because it's something I cannot do. I am so grateful when they're good at their job.
Thank you. We try.
Yes.
Now, again, because you have the perspective that you came from friends, family in the lending world, I'm actually curious about your lead funnels. Like what most real estate agents, again, my perspective, what most agents don't see is even though you're not in lending, you can utilize lending, like in terms of the opportunity to pull out equity from your home. That can be to renovate, to buy another house, to buy, sell, all kinds of different stuff. Do your lead funnels, I'm assuming you past clients are one of your lead funnels that you pull. Are they coming from the perspective, are you utilizing your wife's knowledge at all or that lender ecosystem a little bit?
I mean, our lead funnel is so organic. And so again, we don't tell anybody they have to use one or the other. I mean, she's had people that called. She's like, my husband is an agent. If you want to use him, great. And they have somebody else. Boom.
Truly, you're great about that. I've seen it firsthand a couple of times.
Yeah. So I think the only marketing I do, honestly, besides my listing, if I have a listing, I have a packages that I do through my Coldwell Banker that help to showcase the home. But everything else is from my social media, my sphere. Like I've had a few open house transactions, maybe like 3, out of like 100 and something. Everything else comes from trusted relationships of people that we know, she knows. If they trust her, they trust me. And if people,
that's called a triangle of trust, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's the actual exact
that's
term
cool.
for it.
Yeah, it's everything. That's why my social media, my videos that I do are so important to me,
right?
Because I know how I want the tone to be, but that's where our leads come from. Is literally people we know or referrals or past clients that have said, "Hey, my cousin's looking to buy or sell," and we're just here to be a resource and help out.
And your communication is great too. I've seen you in transactions and you have stellar communication. You're always on top of it, but that's the obsessive mindset that you have, is just making sure things get done of the time.
No one waits for me.
Yeah, no one waits for you. That is true. That is very true. I can attest to that, which I think is great too. And then you really are utilizing your sphere. So are you using a CRM or anything like that to maintain relationships? Or you're like, Laura, no, this is really organic. Like,
this is really organic.
Okay.
I do not. I think about it as of ways to improve my business, but I really don't want to bombard people. I really don't want to over communicate outside of because here's the deal. When someone's working with me, they get all of me.
They get the real you too.
They get, of course, but they get every bit of me for the entire time that we're together. And then, so I tell clients all the time, I just had one recently, we closed, and I just met them through this process. It was a lead that was provided through a family member, and I didn't know them. There's someone from that they work with. And by the end of it, I consider them friends. We have such a good relationship. And I was like, hey, you guys excited to never talk to me again? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm just kidding. Like, we talk every day, and you think, and I've had clients tell me after, had clients tell me after, like, well, I kind of miss you. Like, we haven't talked, and I'm like, I know, but the job's done. And so I need to get better at that, as far as like, CRMs are really good for those types of things, for follow-up and all that. And I need to get better at that.
Yeah.
But, it is organic. Social media helps a lot. I'm very interactive on social media as well. So if I'm connected with someone through there that I've done work with, I pay attention to everything that they're doing, and we touch base that way. And it's not always about business. I don't want it to always be about business.
It should not. And you'll hear me say this a lot. Your business is relationships.
Yeah.
What you do on the side happens to be real estate.
Right.
And if you switch your thinking to your business is relationships, then it changes literally how you go about absolutely everything. So I love that you already think that way.
Because it keeps it less pitchy too. Like, I am not a sales pitchy person. If I ever come off that way, and I tell people all the time, like, if I ever come off that I'm going to be selling you something, please let me know, because I need you to be comfortable. I need you to know that I'm literally on your side. And if you say no, the answer is no, but my job is to get you the information, all the information you need to make the best decision for you and your family. And when you do that, great, let's rock and roll. But if it's a no, awesome. I'm glad you got the information you needed to say no.
I love that. How many families have you served in the last 12 months or so? How many deals do you think that's been?
So here's another thing that I don't do.
You don't track numbers, and that's okay.
I don't, because I was actually thinking about, I was listening to the other ones that you had done, and I was like, well, I don't really know per year.
I'm analytical.
Yeah, I know.
Lender doing a podcast on me. I know she's going to ask me numbers.
Yeah. So I think we're probably around 20.
Okay.
Every rolling 12 is about 20.
Okay.
Between 15, 18 to 22, it kind of
fluctuates.
Yeah.
Do you know how many are listings versus buy sides, or do you just take whatever comes in?
I take whatever comes in. And for example, as of yesterday, I am licensed in the state of Nevada.
Well, congratulations.
So thank you. I have an opportunity out there with some business that I'm happy to service. And, I will never say no to an opportunity that I think I can serve. And if I don't think I can serve it, I will say no.
Refer it
100%.
out. Yeah. So I love that. Like, they really do. If you think you can do it, you're genuinely giving yourself over to what their needs are. I think that's fantastic.
And I know exactly what I'm signing up for. So if I say yes, I will do it. That's why I am driving to the middle of the desert in the middle of nowhere on Thursday to show a property.
All right, so
That's worth
here's what I hear.
something $1,000.
I'll do what it takes.
Yes.
I hear great communication.
Yeah.
I hear that you're just going to be genuinely real. You're going to give them everything you got in your relationship base.
Yep.
Maybe not the CRM, maybe not the traditional sales,
Right.
but you're focusing on them and only them. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. What does the next 5 years look like for you between you and your wife that you want it to look like?
I don't know. I think continuing to build a business the way that I have, I just want to live a good life. So I don't want to stress about. I'm over stressing about all the little things. So for me,
Including
it's
the
just,
fire of the car on the side of the freeway.
Yeah, well, I can't control that. I mean, it is what it is, right? Somebody stopped on that, and he goes, "Hey, do you need a fire extinguisher?" I'm like, "No, bro." Like what? Like no. Like let that thing burn. So, anyways, no. The next 5 years, I think our focus is building our business, and seeing where it takes us. You know, we talk about, I may end up buying something in Las Vegas as we go.
Okay.
It depends on how the book of business grows out there, but I'm prepared for all those things. And, I just think for us, it's just about expanding our business and serving the people we love and helping everyone that we can.
That you can.
Yeah,
No, I
yeah.
love that.
I don't have goals or numbers or anything like that because I'm a goal-oriented person in the sense of I need something to do all the time.
Right.
Keep me busy, keep me slammed. I need to be overly busy. And that's my goal. And however I get there, that's just, yeah.
I think that's fantastic.
I'm a little bit of a mad scientist up here, so it's hard for me to explain those things because most people need those. Structured things.
So there's two types of people. There's visionaries and there's implementers.
Mm-hmm.
You're a visionary. I can hear that you're a visionary, but you implement very quickly. So I'm almost going to say you're a blend of both. You're quite unique.
Let's hope it works out in the long run. If not, here's the deal too. Like I went into this career with the thought process of if I know that if this doesn't work, I am humble enough to go back and get a job.
For sure.
I'm not worried about it.
This is why I like you.
So that's the confidence that I have in what I can do. Listen, if the phone stops ringing, again, what am I supposed to do? This is all part of the game of life, and we're playing it. It's fun, and it's exciting. But if I have to go back and get a normal job or whatever anybody says, I'm confident enough to go do that too. I know I'll make the best of whatever opportunity I have, but I think it serves me well. That mentality serves me well. So I keep that mantra in my head because I know that it won't happen.
Yeah.
It
You got enough confidence in yourself.
Yeah.
I love
I'm not
it.
worried about it.
So, hot seat questions.
Let's go.
What's a misconception people have about running a business?
People are very focused on a single side of things, meaning like I work, I close an escrow, I get a check, and then go into the next one. People don't realize maybe you need an S corp. You have profit and loss, and you have expenses, and you have to factor those things in. You have to set money aside, and you have to balance the budget for yourself, and you have to decide: is this worth that? Is that worth this? People think that it's just about selling a house. It's not, because there's also a business on the back side of things that I have to be accountable for my own home. That if I don't take care of taxes the right way, it could hurt me.
Right.
And so I'm very diligent about those things. So, I think the misconception of running a business is you have the passion for the thing that you're doing, but you really need to make sure that you have the passion for what comes with it.
Yeah, I think that was a very wise response. There's two things. There is your personal family budget. That's one. That's, yes, where a check goes into. I get it.
Right.
But there's that profit and loss. And that profit and loss, you have to track expenses. You have to track mileage. You have to dot your I's, cross your T's. And it's not just about the end of the year. No. It's about thinking through that consistently. And
what's left over, what am I going to do with that? And how does that get reinvested or whatever? It's a constant. That's the mad scientist in my brain that I can't give you. If I let you in on that, in how my mind thinks, no one would watch.
Fair enough. All right, here is another one for you. Okay. What's your go-to strategy when you're feeling stuck or uninspired?
Change. Like change anything. Change something. Change the routine. Change the opportunity. For example, yesterday when I saw that my license had been approved in Nevada, I felt an excitement that I haven't felt in a very long time.
You felt a spark.
Oh my God. I was like driving and I was like, let's go. I was like so pumped. Like just the excitement around what can come from that and being able to challenge myself in a new way. It's less about, it is not less about the opportunity. The opportunity is amazing. It is about I get to deliver and I get to be a badass again.
Yes.
Like, even though I already am in my mind.
You got to spark yourself again.
Yeah,
it's a real
100%,
thing.
100%. And it's it's other things I like to do to kind of I like to be out of the house, like I said.
Right.
I love to go to Vegas. I love to go on trips. I love to go somewhere. If I need to break it and I need to just reset, I just go somewhere for a couple of days. And when I get back, like the day before I leave to come home, I'm like, I can't wait to get home and like just go.
Right.
And I am in a zone and I'm obsessive and I'm right back on it.
I'm very similar to this. I always talk about the sales spark. You have to have a sales spark, which is really interesting, followed up by the question of, how do you run a business? You have to have a P&L, which is not very sparky in terms of having fun. Side question, do you know what your disc is? Are you a high D, high I?
I am a high I. Uh-huh. Yes. From what I remember. We did that when I was in retail. That was
all right. So let's go back 6 years when you first started. If you had to do it all over again, from the jump, from the very start of it, what would you have done differently?
Nothing.
I love that.
And that's the reason being is everything that has happened in my life, and I could take you through it, but we don't have enough time. Everything that has happened in my life, if one thing, especially has to do with my jobs and my personal relationships and school. So if everything hadn't happened exactly from like 1995 to now, if it hadn't happened exactly the way it had happened, I would not be who I am. I would not have the mentality I have. I would not have experienced what I have. Sure, there's things. If I say the wrong thing to someone and it comes off the wrong way, or I think it comes off the wrong way, I will obsess over that for 10, 15 years.
I'm the same way.
But, and they'll never know.
Right.
But that's the only thing I would do differently is little moments like that. But I wouldn't change anything because I'm grateful for what I have, but also I'm so grateful for the lessons that I've learned and the lessons I'm going to learn.
Right.
That's the most exciting thing is like I have never had 2 transactions go the same.
Yeah, either have I.
And when I think I've seen it all, I'm just like left in awe about the next thing that pops up.
So I've been in this business for 23 years. I typically serve over 100 to 300 families a year. Weekly, I still say, learned something new today.
You're like, oh, I didn't see that coming. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
You're just constantly learning and growing in this industry. People say all the time, I've been in this business for 30 years. Yeah, well, it's different. The market is different from a month ago.
A month ago, yeah.
Yeah. The personal family exchange that you're having with someone else, they have differences happening in their life that makes each transaction like a snowflake.
Yeah.
And you just have to roll with the punches.
Yes.
You can't let anything bother you.
Correct.
You have to control your controllables, and you just keep it moving.
Yep.
So I love that. And I'm a big proponent of get 1% better. I'm a big proponent of everything. There's 5 or 6 evolutions to absolutely everything in life.
Of course.
So if you learn something new, you're just going to perfect it. And
if you think you're done evolving, you're wrong.
Oh my gosh. You're not growing. It's what is that saying? If you're not growing, you're dying or something like that.
Yeah.
No.
It's
same,
true.
same.
Every day there's just you have to be open and humble to the opportunity that you don't know everything.
Right.
And if you think you do, you clearly don't. You clearly are in the wrong headspace. And
right.
It's different between being confident and cocky, right? If you feel like you don't have anything to learn, you're already 2 steps behind. You're 2 steps behind me.
Yeah.
You know that.
That's true.
Which is fine with me.
Well, you've got a great business. You've got a great young family. You've got balance in your life. You're just very well-rounded. So I really appreciate you coming on this podcast. I think you're fantastic.
Thank you.
And I actually look forward to hearing this now.
Well, the feelings are mutual. And I really appreciate you asking me to come on.
Absolutely. All right, cool.
All right, cool.